Well, howdy there, Internet students. It's Mr. Hermanson again. We're going to do one more thing on scientific notation, and that is if you have expressions with numbers written in scientific notation, how do you deal with those? Um, so, so let's move to this page here. Um, and we'll start with if you're multiplying numbers in scientific notation. Um, so these two numbers are written in scientific notation. First thing you're going to do is just rearrange them. Multiplication is commutative and associative, so you can just rearrange them any way you want, multiply them in any order you want. And so we're going to write it like this. That way we can multiply together these two numbers. Now, you don't have to actually write it out again. If you're actually doing problems, you can just know that you can multiply those two numbers together. So then we're going to simplify that. 3 times 5 is 15. And when you have powers, you add the exponents to get the new power. So I have 5 factors of 10 here and 2 more factors of 10. So I have 7 factors of 10 in total. Now the last thing you're going to do is make sure this is written in scientific notation. It's not, because you can't have a number like 15 first. You need to have a number that is greater than or equal to 1 but less than 10. So we're going to change that to 1.5. Now what we just did is we made the number smaller. So in order to get this decimal to move back to where it was, we need to multiply by 10 one extra time. And so these two numbers are equivalent, but this number is the way we want it written in scientific notation. All right? I'll do one more with you, and then you could try a couple and see how you're doing. So like I said, when you want to rearrange it, so first thing you want to do is multiply 5.4 times 2.2. That's 11.88. Okay, now to get the power of 10, you're going to just add the exponents together. 4 plus 7 makes 11. Then you're going to check and see if it's in scientific notation. It's not. We need this number to be smaller, so we're going to make it 1.188. And then since I made that number smaller, I need to multiply by 10 one more time. So we're going to add 1 to the power. All right, so go ahead and give these two a shot and check back and see if you got them right. All right, here's what I got. In the first one, it worked out really nice. This number, you didn't have to change at all when you multiplied those first two. And then you just added the powers and got 38 for your power of 10. This one you did have to change it. This number was too big, so we made it 6.478 times 10 to the 11th. All right, so the U.S. spends an average of 1.02 times 10 to the 4 dollars on each student per year. There are 7.7 times 10 to the 7th students in the United States. About how much money is spent on students. That's a multiplication problem, so basically we need to multiply 1.02 times 10 to the 4 times 7.7 times 10 to the 7th. And you can use the process we used on these problems up here to get that. So go ahead and give that a shot, see if you get it right. Here's the answer I got. All right, the next thing we're going to do is divide when numbers are in scientific notation. And we're going to rearrange the division here again. When you're multiplying, remember that you can split up the fractions because you're just multiplying the numerators together and the denominators. So we're going to do this separately. Then we're going to use the rules of dividing powers to help us doing the dividing part. So basically I just need to divide 8.42 by 5. And that's 1.684. And then when you're dividing powers, if they have the same base, you can just subtract the exponent. So I would do 3 minus 2, which is 1. And then the last thing you want to do is just check to make sure that's in scientific notation, that this number is a number between greater than 1 but less than 10, and that this is a power of 10, which it is. So we're good on that one. All right. I'll do this first example with you, and then I'll let you try a couple. So you want to kind of split it up. So divide the two regular numbers first, and then deal with the powers of 10. So I'm going to do 5.3 divided by 7.65. And that is a really long number. When you get a number like this, let's just kind of make it a habit of rounding to the nearest hundredth. So if I round to the nearest hundredth, that would be 0.69. Okay, now the power of 10 I get by subtracting 3 minus 5, which is negative 2. Now this number is not in scientific notation. This first number is too small. It needs to be greater than or equal to 1. So I'm going to move the decimal over one place. So now this is a little bit different. I just made that number bigger, which means I need to multiply by 10 one less time. So 1 less than negative 2 is negative 3. All right. So go ahead, you try these two, see how you do, and you can check back and see if you got the right answer. All right, on this one I had to change it, so I made this number a bigger by a factor of 10. So that means I need to multiply by 10 one last time. On this one I didn't need to change it because this number is greater than or equal to 1 but less than 10. One thing you might notice though is I ended up with 9, and that's because 4 minus negative 5, remember what happens when you subtract a negative, that's the same as adding. So, so the power got bigger there. Okay, so a certain social media company processes about 990 billion likes per year. If the company has approximately 8.9 times 10 to the users, about how many likes is each user responsible? So the average number, when you're doing average, you divide. So we're going to divide 990 billion. Now I'm just going to remind you that 990 billion has 9 zeros on it like this. So then I'm going to write it in scientific notation because this is already written in scientific notation. So I think that's going to be easier. And that's 9.9 times 10 to the 11. I'm going to divide that by 8.9 times 10 to the 8th. So I'm going to split that up and do this division separately. 9.9 divided by 8.9 equals, I'm going to round that to the nearest hundredth, 1.11 times, and then the power is pretty easy. It's just when you're dividing you subtract, so we get 10 to the third. Now if somebody said, well, what does that mean? I'm not a scientist. You could tell them that that's you could just change that to a normal number by moving the decimal over 3 places this way. You're going to need to add a 0. So that's 1,110 likes per user. All right. Well, that's all I got for you. Go ahead. You should be able to do the homework assignment now. I think you're going to skip right down to part C, and there's some on this page, page 20, and there's a few on page 21 also. All right, so do those and then put your answers on the Google form. All right, talk to you later.